Hello, welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. I'm your temporary host, Jeff Cork, joined today by Tim Turi.
Hello, Jeff Cork.
Just moments ago, you shot me in the face with a Nerf sniper rifle.
I made a really satisfying sound.
So if I sound like my lip is a little fatter than normal, that's why. Also, Ben Reeves.
Here I am. Full lips.
On
Full
the
lip
keyboard
free.
and mouse.
Yeah.
And Jason Oestreicher, spelled with an O. Which,
how's it going, Cork?
Contrary to popular opinion. And here we are at the character creation screen.
Of what game?
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun. Did you already say that?
Turns.
It's back.
Yeah.
It has been kick-started from the grave.
This one's smoking. Look at her.
So what are we doing here? Little character creation.
Yeah, we're at the character creation. I'm manning the mouse sticks, and we have. Would you guys rather be a male or a female?
Let's look at the female options. I just made my character the other day. I made a troll street samurai.
Yep.
He kind of looks like Satan. I'm kind of curious what the female variants look
Which
like.
I created a street samurai as well, but mine's an elf.
Okay.
So it's like this guy,
I
but male.
I went for one of the heavily shadowed like profile pictures because I felt like all of these profile pictures are a little too specific for my taste.
Yeah, none of them look like me.
Yeah.
Though this one looks a little bit like Joe Juba.
It does look. That's got a little bit of a Joe look.
So what do you guys want? So we have humans, which are kind of your bread and butter like people.
They're just average. You can even look at the stats in the bottom.
They're
Humans-
essentially people.
They're 9s across the
They
board.
are essentially people. You're right. Yeah.
Just like real
Elves,
people.
which are a lot more attractive, and I think they're quicker.
Yeah,
Is that
charisma's
right?
higher. They're
Charisma,
faster.
Yeah.
You use magic a little better, I would assume.
Dwarves, which are stumpy little dudes.
No magic, I'm assuming.
Orcs.
Even worse, no magic.
Yeah, but they're strong. They're big, beefy guys.
But not as strong as
Look at
trolls.
these. They look really cool as dudes.
Trolls are the biggest, and
Yeah,
they
and
are-
then trolls are just giants.
yeah, that's
Oh.
my guy basically.
You want the
This one?
troll.
That's basically the guy.
So
I
we
made.
want to be a troll. is what
Yeah,
you're
of course. And you want to make that one that you just had with the 2 horns, and you want to make him red.
saying. Trolls spend a lot of time on the internet just making fun of people.
That's true. And you can use a decker. You can be a decker, and you can log in to the Matrix and be a troll
So
on
as
the
you can-
internet that way.
As you can see, you could
That's true.
spend all day in this menu, but let's
like
not
this
do that
guy.
because this
Look at
video
this.
is going to be really super boring.
Yeah, let's
All right.
kick it into
I-
classes.
I like this guy. Okay.
Just go.
You guys want to be a decker? We can shaman. They have magical abilities. They conjure up like special spells,
Spirits and stuff.
Spirits
Yeah.
is the word I was looking for. Riggers, shaman, more conjuring.
But we physical adept.
Physical
he
adept.
beats
What do you
guys
think
up.
is going to be
None.
helpful in the early game?
Let's say samurai, maybe, right?
Well, that's
Go
yeah,
mage.
Sure.
Just go mage.
Just go full mage.
Let's
Where was that?
there
Oh,
you go. Let's
All right.
and go elf. Screw this guy.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. That guy's awesome.
He's big and he's dumb.
All right.
I mean, if we're gonna go mage, we should
Yeah.
probably
All
pick
right.
somebody.
all
that's a
right,
little
Let's kick it in this way.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's just go.
That guy looks cool.
We'll never look at his
Okay.
portrait.
So then, obviously,
Oh,
hair,
brother.
hair and other junk. Anyway.
there we go.
Yep.
Okay, and you can spend it any way
We
you
have
want.
5 available.
This took
karma.
me a while to figure out too. Is like you got to increase this little bar here.
Yeah, like quickness
Yeah.
up there is like the base stats, and as you level that up, you'll unlock more options below it. These ones are all linked to weapons.
Like you can't improve this until you improve this, and that raises that bar here.
You get karma from completing missions, helping people out, and you always have to spend the amount of karma equal to the number of that part of the tree. So it's really easy to get used to, and I really like the upgrade system so far.
Yeah. So far it's been cool.
So we just start off with the 5 available bonus points.
We should learn a
just as many
ability.
categories. Oh wow.
Yeah. There's
You should
lot of
choose a
stuff
weapon
here.
right now. I would go for a pistol or a SMG or something like that.
Do we not get spells?
So
super
even
early
though
on?
we're a mage, we don't primarily use that.
Is that the nice thing is you're
Let's
not
do SMGs.
restricted by choosing like a spellcaster. Everyone can use a pistol, which is really nice and is always useful. It's just you may not be as proficient with it. What the real penalties and the real trade-offs come with spellcasting and stuff is if you decide to upgrade yourself with cyberware, which will decrease your essence, which is necessary for good spellcasting. I think security is useful in the early game, but we're not even going to get to that point.
Yeah, this is just like I don't know how you were raised or something.
Etiquette's-
It's like how you're able to like communicate with other people of like if they're street gang, you can communicate with them.
because there's skill tree options, kind of
Yeah.
like Mass Effect, which people might be more familiar with now. You can go ahead.
You know their language.
Yeah, and it'll open up new options. For example, the other night I was trying to get into like this hangar, and there's this guy outside, and he's like, "Hey, you don't have any business in here." And then I had used my security etiquette. I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm detective, such and such. I have to be in here now." And he's like, "Okay." And then there's other options that are really cool. Like if you're strong enough, you can kind of bully people around and get new options open that way.
Well, let's back up a little bit and just kind of set the mood here.
Well, this is
Tone
your
of the game. This is it's a fantasy world set in like a cyberpunk dystopian.
Think Tolkien meets Blade Runner, and you've pretty much got it. It's that's good. There's a Matrix. It's set in Seattle. It's sort of this future where, like, turns out like all these like Mesoamerican like rituals and stuff, they ended up being legit, and suddenly people that have like these native rituals ended up working, and they can summon spirits, and these trolls and elves started being born, and people like shifted into these magic creatures, and it's all very very it's pretty fantastical. It's just sci-fi and fantasy, a cool little mixture of it.
So you start out as you're this dude. You're obviously in this kind of rundown apartment. This is your apartment. Got not a whole lot to do here. But then we're just going to go over here to our video phone and see if we got any messages.
I think look at this. How like every sci-fi like cyberpunk RPG started back in the 90s.
Down on your luck.
Yeah.
Down on your luck in your apartment, go into the vid phone.
No way to go but up. And so this alcoholic friend of yours has something called a dead man's chip, which is the name of this campaign. And he dies, and it triggers this thing, which means that he like talked with a lawyer, and in the case of his death, it would be like there'd be this
giant payment made to whoever discovered out who killed him.
Yeah, and you were kind of a loose acquaintance of his. This is a flashback. And he was an alcoholic, and he ran with weird crowds and stuff, and you kind of get to know his past life. And there's a lot to do with this Ripper, which is kind of like a Jack the Ripper of the future that steals people's organs. And you're trying to get to the bottom of that mystery. You solve that, which I just did last night, and then you move on to this other part of this mystery, and just it kind of opens up, and it's really interesting.
So what actually we're playing right here is a sort of a flashback, because Sam just called us on the phone, and he's remembering like here's some time we spent together. Remember those good old times, us like smuggling. Were they smuggling guns, or like they did some job or something, and it went horribly wrong? So this new Larry guy, we're talking to him. He's a magician.
Basically, what ends up happening here is new Larry is a plant, and we find out that he called in some people. He basically botched the job for his own personal gain. And that sort of led to some events spiraling out of control where they all had to like lay low for a while, and that sets up where the game is. But what we're going to see is a little bit of the combat, which is like a tactical turn-based strategy. So XCOM fans may recognize, this isometric view, plus it's really focused on cover, and even the UI a little bit. The way you like reload weapons is really reminiscent of the most recent XCOM.
So a tactical turn-based still, correct?
We don't
You were
need
speaking
help
my
right
language.
now.
Yeah.
So you can see we totally blew through the dialogue here, but that's because there's a lot of it.
There is so much dialogue, but the nice thing is it's not so much of a slog. It's good fun reading. It knows what it is. It's really steeped in like noir and a lot of sort of like noir detective like monologue analogies and just really heavy-handed stuff. But it's fun. So now even look at the UI in the lower left. Like really reminds me of XCOM. You click on that gun to reload.
You can pick your different skills. Like she has an aimed shot.
Right. It's just to make sure that shot will hit, because there's a pretty high miss chance early on in the game.
Bad. Although I don't think I need that right now.
How do you use that? Do you have like time units in XCOM or something like that? Or?
Yeah, there's ability points,
you can see
or ability
those.
pool they call it, and it's the lower right. And then once those are expended for each round, it's the enemy's turn, and
nice hit.
Different skills cost more points. Movement costs a point. One thing that's kind of frustrating compared to XCOM is that you can't. There's a few issues. Is line of sight is really inconsistent. It's hard to tell.
Oh, so like XCOM.
Yeah, like
exactly.
But there's no percentages, and it's not as, or the percentages. There's not as many stats that you can use to your advantage to find out whether you have a really good hit or really good cover. And then on top of that, you can't like undo a turn, like that movement. That's done.
Yeah, it's done.
So you kind of have
to
to
go backwards.
And you can't shift the, you can't rotate the camera at all.
which would be really it is annoying. It should be really nice in combat here because you like trying to think of examples. Say I'm like trying to take cover over here. You just want to see like, well, right here. What if I move to this square? Say there's dudes over here.
That's completely.
It'd be really nice
yeah.
to see what was around me, but you can't move the camera. So
can you zoom in at all? There's like lots of
Yeah,
really
you can
cool
zoom in.
Details I want to
Use the mouse wheel. Ben.
yeah. So we can get in here. That's about as close as we can get.
Speaking of the controls, I've noticed you haven't really touched the keyboard at all. That's kind of cool.
I don't need to.
It's not necessary. They're like you can tab and it'll tab through your guys. And there's hotkeys and stuff if you're interested in it. But I was playing like on my laptop and just using the touchpad, and it's the pace of the game is a little slower, and so you don't really need to worry about
Any
that.
controller support, or do you think it's
None that I saw. I tried it.
I tried. Maybe they'll add it later, which actually be really nice. Ooh, take that. Man, I don't know. This mage isn't doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, I mean that's just the thing. You'll pump some skills into that
look at
later
that.
on.
Now, so look, this line of sight to me, it looks like maybe I shouldn't be able to hit it.
That's what I'm saying. It's really hard to tell what's gonna work.
Which honestly, for me hitting the enemy, I don't care. Like I'm glad I can shoot him. But say I was over here and the enemy was here, I would think like I was guarded, but I'm not.
And if you're looking at this and you're thinking about the problems we're talking about, like line of sight and stuff, and you're worried about that, I wouldn't be, because the game's pretty forgiving difficulty-wise. I've played about like 4 or 5 hours and haven't had any real problems at all. Even when I'm just kind of farting my way through an encounter, it's still been consistently fun. And like we were talking about before, harebrained schemes. Thank you. That studio that is the original creator of Shadowrun, the tabletop RPG, works there and stuff. And they made this Dead Man's Switch campaign, and they have another campaign planned down the road for set in like Berlin. But they have all of the map editing and story creation software and all the assets for this game available to anyone that bought it, so that they can make their own campaign. Someone's working on an SNES remake, or a remake of the SNES one, starring Jake Armitage, who actually plays a little role in this game.
We did a test chamber on that not too long ago.
Replay.
Replay on that. My mistake.
Just this past weekend, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, if you go and take a look at, there's videos of that online of the SNES remake, and I that could be a cool way to play that game, I think.
So they're releasing a campaign, so this is kind of like episodic?
I think they're going to be contained stories, but you can bring your character over, and your character is pretty much a cipher. It's like the cool things, interesting things happen to this character, not that your character is the most interesting person in the world. So you can basically bring this character around from place to place. I did some research, and it seems like they had sort of this kind of season-based format with the actual tabletop RPG, where you'd play your Shadowrun tabletop game at home with your friends, and then there'd be like these conventions, and you'd go and take that same character to a convention and play this unique convention campaign. And it seems like they're kind of going for that same sort of feel.
Yeah, I'm curious, as far as gameplay goes, are there, like the SNES version of Shadowrun, are there puzzles, like item inventory based puzzles?
I haven't seen inventory-based puzzles, but you have to look through the environment. You'll find items. You'll have to know who to give that to. That will unlock new like side quests or conversations.
One early example: you're in this girl's room. She's gone missing. You're trying to like hack into her computer, and so you kind of like look around her environment, read her diary, some other things to kind of get some clues, so that when you do a password reset option, you can correctly answer the questions and like hack into her computer. Yeah,
you read her diary, talk to her friends and stuff, and figure out like what her favorite band is and stuff.
That's kind of a cool little. Yeah, it's so easy.
I enjoyed it.
Real life. Yeah. Unnerving.
But yes, so far. So like the shaman, for example, if he focuses smartly on killing the shaman, the spirit will dissolve.
Yeah, which I will try to do. Maybe I can run up here and get a little closer shot.
It's cool. I kind of got to the point finally where I could like hire out my own runners. So, I have my guy that can hack into the Matrix and, go and take down security systems that way. I have a support mage that can shred enemy armor or boost our skills. And it's nice. It's fun to sort of like round things out that way. And from what I can gather, you only end up upgrading yourself. You only worry about your own upgrades and equipment and stuff. You don't really have to like micromanage.
So do your party members grow with you, or do you just outgrow them and recruit new ones?
I just got my ability to do that, so I'm not totally sure, but I know that you can hire out, and I think you can actually, I haven't figured out how to do it, you can hire out your friends' characters, so like I could technically, I think, hire Ben's character that he's playing
That's fun.
in my games. Kind of like a Dragon's Dogma type thing going on.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It is cool. It's a
Yeah.
fun game. Did you guys play Shadowrun back in the day?
Absolutely.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
I mean, I actually played some of the pen and paper back in the day. Read some of the novels. Man, I played the Super Nintendo version.
Oh, you read the
You
novels?
were way into it.
Really?
I love this universe.
It is a cool universe, you know.
So you can see we defeated all these. We got, that guy, New Larry, turned on us, and we defeated them all. But this is all still a flashback, which is
Right.
kind of cool.
What-
And then Sam's like, man, I'm getting out of the game.
One thing worth saying, and we skipped right past it, is there is like no tutorial to be spoken of at all. It just starts off and gives you this basically instruction manual of everything. And given it's a really succinct and well put together instruction manual, but instead of playing the game, you will probably sit down and end up reading it for like 15, 20 minutes before you actually get into it. It's not super, I don't know, organic the way they teach you the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too like heavy-handed with the lore or anything. Like you can go find that stuff on your own, but it doesn't like just completely bombard you with like the history of everything.
It feels really accessible.
Good.
People will say stuff like, Drek or whatever, and you're like, what is that? And, it's obvious it's a
you'll put it
swear
together,
word of some
yeah.
kind.
Through the
but
context,
yeah.
you're able to figure everything out.
So it's kind of cool how it's not like, this means this means this, which kind of draws you out of the fiction. But it's really smartly put together, I think. And the story's been fun so far. I've really enjoyed it, which is good because there's so much of it.
Yeah, same here.
This looks great.
So now we're in this coroner's office, going to talk to this guy. We're kind of like investigating. Okay, Sam's here. Let's look at his body and see who killed him.
It's weird coroner.
So the in between here, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing the meat and potatoes here is the combat, but in between, is it kind of open world? Can you go wherever you want in the city?
It's pretty streamlined. You can like explore, but they do shepherd you from situation to situation, and you can explore within that, talk to new people, maybe get some new options that way. There are parts in the city where you're wandering around, but it's just about getting to that next point. And like you were saying, meat potatoes for combat, like I honestly have done much more reading and conversing with NPCs than I have combat. So you be ready to read, like absolutely. If you're looking at this game and you're like, I'll just skip through this and get to those encounters, the XCOM style combat, you're not going to have a good
Yeah,
time.
it's definitely not the way to play it. And it's definitely old school. Like if you're the kind of gamer that's gotten used to, cutscenes and every line of dialogue being spoken. This is super old school. Definitely like the SNES Genesis, but I kind of dig it. It's kind of like a fun like alternative to like, if you want to like read a book tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole reason
this
that
instead,
we're able to play this
through
game too is that it is, Kickstarter funded.
Yeah.
So there was an audience built in that really liked old school Shadowrun.
Yeah.
So like people who may just see it on Steam or wherever and download it from there saying, oh yeah, I remember Shadowrun. They're probably going to have a great time right out of the gate.
Yeah.
New players will probably, like you said, have to kind of read a bit to catch up.
You guys were reminiscing about the old games. Before we did like replays and Dan and I did that comparison video of the SNES and the Genesis version, I have never played Shadowrun in my life. And I'm just immediately, even with SNES, the 16-bit ones, I'm drawn in and I think it's interesting. And this has been an awesome jumping on point to the point where I want to know more. I'm interested in Jason. I'll probably ask you for novel recommendations. Like I just like this world and I like the writing. And it seems like a good time. Seems like there's a lot here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good look at Shadowrun Returns.
Yeah. More like Shadow Fun.
Wow. You did it.
I did it.
Shadow Fun Returns. Tim, any last thoughts?
Jake Armitage is in one of those slabs.
I want to see him before we go.
Oh, yeah.
look at
Let's
him
see
real
that.
quick.
This is a good throwback to people who... all right, come on. We'll
That's
have
how
to get
the original Super Nintendo game starts out, as Jake in a slab. He's alive, obviously, but I don't know if he is here.
Yeah, he's definitely in the morgue.
Find him.
Yeah, just click through this.
Yeah, I do remember having quite a bit of conversation here. I think he's gonna introduce you.
Oh,
you
here's
can
a
go
little
click on it.
thing. Let's see.
Well, if you
what's in
double click,
here.
you can run
Oh, that's a good tip to know.
a little faster.
How much faster
Oh,
that
also
was.
just a heads up for anyone that plays this that decides to buy this after this. When you use a
John Doe
med kit, click on it, then you have to click on the character you want to heal. And it was really unclear. I had problems.
I
with
remember
that
you
for a
having
while.
problems the other night.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what's in here. What the?
There he is.
There's
wearing
a whole
his
dude.
super
And his
awesome
dumb
glasses.
glasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
He came out and said, "Whoa, easy there."
One quick move. Easy there, big fella.
But yeah, I mean, I recommend it based off not having any prior experience with this series. So
Excellent, Jason.
I am all kinds of excited about this day one, and I've been preparing myself mentally to just spend a couple of weeks, sit down with us, and play the hell out of it. Really excited. Can't wait.
Great. Well, thanks for watching, and that's another episode of Test Chamber.